Chosen one, listen carefully. What I'm about to share with you is not meant for everyone. This message carries weight and it carries urgency. It is not something casual or ordinary. If you are not truly walking the path of God, if your presence here is born out of curiosity, distraction, or even mockery, this message is not for you. But if your spirit feels restless, awakened, sensitive, and longing for divine connection, then you are exactly where you are meant to be in this moment. This message has reached you at the perfect time. It is not too late, and it is not too early. God himself arranged this moment because what is coming next will shift your understanding of yourself, your purpose, and the life you are meant to lead. Chosen one, you are standing on the edge of a significant shift, a transition that is unfolding slowly but deliberately. Tomorrow, in ways you may not yet see, you will begin to step into a higher spiritual awareness. This is not fantasy, imagination, or hype. This is real, divine elevation. It is a movement into a higher level of consciousness where clarity replaces confusion, peace replaces inner turmoil, and your understanding of life deepens beyond what you have known. Stay with me until the end of this message, because the understanding you are about to gain will bring relief to your mind and reassurance to your soul. Before we continue, chosen ones, take a moment to engage with this message. Like this video. Subscribe to the Spirit Guide channel if you have not done so already. Turn on the bell icon so you do not miss what God has prepared for you next. Share this message with other chosen ones who are ready to hear it. And comment 555 as a declaration that you are aligning yourself with this divine elevation and are ready to step into what God has prepared. Now take a deep breath. Slow down your thought. Allow your body to release tension. Let your shoulders drop. Relax your jaw and feel the weight you have been carrying inside ease slightly. God knows how much you have been carrying, and this message is part of the relief He is sending you. The reason this message has come to you now is not random. It is not a coincidence born of chance, emotion, or timing that just happened to match your life. It is divine timing. And divine timing never rushes, never delays, and never misses. It happens exactly when it is supposed to, in perfect alignment with your spiritual readiness. Many of you have been quietly asking God, sometimes with words, sometimes through tears, when will it happen? When will I step into what you have promised? Now you have prayed faithfully, remained patient, and held strong in your faith, yet breakthrough seemed just out of reach. I need you to understand this clearly. Delay is not denial. Silence is not absence, and waiting is not punishment. For chosen ones, waiting is preparation. Waiting is God's way of strengthening your foundation, preparing your heart, mind, and spirit to receive what is coming without being overwhelmed. God does not move according to panic, pressure, or the demands of the world. He moves according to precision, and when He moves suddenly. But that sudden movement is always built on a long season of unseen alignment. What looked like nothing happening in your life was actually everything being arranged carefully behind the scenes. When I speak of a tomorrow, I am not referring solely to a calendar date. I am speaking of a threshold, a crossing point, a moment when something inside you shifts in a way that will be noticeable to your spirit, even if your mind cannot yet fully grasp it. Your awareness will expand. Your reactions will soften. Your discernment will sharpen. Your spirit will step forward into readiness. That is how God works. Before He changes your external environment, He always begins by changing your perception, your understanding, your readiness from within. Chosen one, you could not have entered this level of awareness earlier. If you had, it would have crushed you under the weight of higher consciousness without emotional maturity. Confusion, pride, or fear would have taken root if your heart had not been ready. But God waited until your heart reached a point of readiness, not perfection, but readiness. Ready to listen instead of react. Ready to trust instead of trying to control outcomes. Ready to rest instead of constantly chase. Reflect for a moment. The isolation you have experienced was never abandonment. It was refinement. The misunderstandings, the moments of disappointment, and the times you felt unseen were not accidents. They were filters, carefully removing what could not accompany you into the next level of your life. The disappointments were never failures. They were redirections meant to protect and prepare you. This is why this message feels so personal, so directly aimed at you. That is because it is. God does not broadcast His deepest plans publicly. He whispers them to those who are aligned and prepared to hear. Many of you have recently felt a strange internal pressure, not fear, but a heavy anticipation that seems to sit quietly in your chest. Your sleep has shifted, your appetite may have changed, old habits have begun to lose their grip on you, and conversations or distractions that once seemed entertaining now feel shallow. Noise feels irritating. Silence feels essential. These are not signs of confusion, they are signs of transition. The human mind wants clear timelines. God works with seasons. A seed does not argue with the soil, it trusts the process. You, chosen one, have been planted deep enough to survive storms, deep enough to grow roots that will not be shaken. You were not forgotten. You were being strengthened where no one could see. While others were distracted, God was disciplining your spirit. While others chased validation, God was teaching you discernment. While others rushed, God was teaching you stillness. This message has reached you now because resistance in your life has weakened. Your ego is quieter, your heart is softer. You are no longer begging God to move. Instead, you are learning to wait with faith. That is maturity. That is readiness. Let me say this without hesitation. If you were not chosen, this message would irritate you. You would have scrolled past it, felt nothing, and moved on. But you stayed. That alone tells me something about your spirit. Divine timing does not ask for permission. It arrives when alignment is complete. Alignment, chosen one, is not about perfection. It is about surrender. You stop forcing outcomes, stop trying to prove yourself, and begin listening more than speaking. That is why tomorrow matters, not because something magical will fall from the sky, but because you will step into a new way of seeing and experiencing life. You will begin interpreting life through faith rather than fear. God waited until your nervous system could hold peace, until your mind could process clarity, and until your heart could embrace authority without becoming hardened. You are not late. You are not behind. You are exactly where you need to be. This message is not meant to pressure you. It is meant to confirm that you are on the right path. The shift coming is not here to overwhelm you. It is here to relieve you. And this is only the beginning. Let me guide you a little deeper, chosen one, because some of you still feel a quiet uneasiness in your chest. It is not fear, but uncertainty. You sense movement in your life, yet cannot fully explain it. That is because the shift approaching is internal first, before it ever becomes visible externally. God always changes the inside first. He strengthens your foundation before building the next level. There were times when you thought you had missed your opportunity. You replayed decisions, conversations, and past seasons in your mind, wondering if you ruined something sacred. I want to correct that thought now. What God has for you cannot be ruined by human error. If it could, it would not be divine. Grace covers what ignorance cannot, and mercy restores what confusion once disrupted. The reason tomorrow feels heavy is because all transition carries weight. Even birth comes with pressure, and yet pressure is meant to push you forward, not break you. You are not breaking down. You are breaking through. Your spirit already knows this, even if your mind is still catching up. God has allowed you to reach a point where old coping mechanisms no longer serve you. Distractions no longer soothe you. Approval no longer satisfies you. Noise no longer comforts you. That is not loss, it is clarity. When God removes crutches, it is because your legs are finally strong enough to stand. You are learning to sit with yourself without judgment. You are learning to listen without panic. You are learning that stillness is not stagnation. It is alignment, and alignment, chosen one, is power. So if your life feels quiet, do not fill it with unnecessary noise. If it feels slow, do not rush it. If it feels unfamiliar, do not resist it. You are standing in the sacred space between what was and what will be. Tomorrow does not mean everything changes instantly. It means you change, and everything else will follow in due time. Trust this moment. God never brings you to the edge without teaching you how to cross. You are ready, and you are aware. Your readiness is confirmed by your calm presence, your quiet faith, and your willingness to surrender to the divine process. Chosen one, listen slowly now, not with anxiety or urgency, but with honesty, because everything I am about to say will resonate deeply with you. Not because you have heard it somewhere else, but because you have lived it. Readiness does not announce itself with fireworks. It reveals itself through subtle, quiet changes that others often overlook. Exhaustion is often mistaken for failure, but what you are feeling is not collapse, it is completion. One of the clearest signs that you are ready is that your tolerance for nonsense has disappeared. You no longer have energy for shallow conversations, fake connections, or emotional gain. Things that once felt easy and ordinary in life now feel heavy and exhausting. Environments that are loud, busy, or chaotic leave you drained faster than before. Conversations that feel shallow, meaningless, or repetitive irritate you in ways they never did. This is not because you are becoming cold or disconnected, but because your spirit is being refined. God is teaching you focus, precision, and discernment. He is guiding your attention toward what truly matters and showing you where it is no longer necessary to pour your energy. You are learning the boundaries of your influence and the limits of your responsibility. That strange feeling of emotional neutrality you have been noticing is another part of this process. You are not as reactive as you once were. Situations that used to trigger anger, jealousy, worry, or panic now pass through you more easily, leaving little or no lasting disturbance. Do not confuse this change for numbness or indifference. It is emotional maturity. You are no longer ruled by impulse or instinct alone. You have learned to observe first, breathe, and discern before responding. This shift is intentional. It is part of your spiritual training, and it is evidence that your awareness is expanding. Chosen ones who are at the edge of transformation often feel misunderstood, even by those they love and care about most. This is not because the people around you are unkind, flawed, or harmful, but because they are operating at a different level of understanding. You have started noticing patterns, motives, and energies that others either ignore or fail to recognize. Your intuition is sharper, and you trust it more than external validation. That sense of distance you feel from people, situations, or old routines is not rejection. It is differentiation. God is gently separating you from what no longer serves your growth, allowing you to stand firmly in your purpose. You may also notice that your old dreams, the ones you once prayed for with so much excitement, no longer bring the same thrill or passion. You still desire peace, stability, and provision, but the hunger for applause, recognition, and approval has faded. This is not the loss of ambition. It is the purification of desire. God is aligning your wants with your true calling. When your desires change, your direction naturally follows. Let us speak clearly about the exhaustion you may feel. You are tired, but this does not mean laziness. You are drained, but it does not mean defeat. Your tiredness comes from carrying burdens you were never meant to carry for such long seasons. You have been emotionally strong for others, spiritually disciplined for yourself, and mentally alert in environments that were not safe or supportive. That kind of strength carries a cost, and God sees it. Your readiness often reveals itself through fatigue because it signals that an old season of your life is finally ending. Another sign of readiness is that solitude no longer frightens you. You may now crave moments of quiet. You seek silence not to escape life, but to hear God more clearly. Silence has become restorative instead of lonely. You have learned to enjoy your own presence without needing constant distraction. That tells me something profound. You have made peace with yourself, and only those who are ready can sit in their own presence without judgment or discomfort. Chosen ones at the edge also begin to experience an intense sense of internal honesty. You can no longer lie to yourself or avoid uncomfortable truths. You feel tension when your values are compromised or when situations are misaligned with your integrity. You notice when something is off, even if it appears fine on the surface. This integrity is not about pride or self-righteousness. It is about alignment. God sharpens discernment before elevation because higher levels of awareness require pure intentions and clean motives. You may also sense that your old identity no longer fits you, but the new identity has not fully revealed itself yet. That in-between state can feel uncertain or uncomfortable. You are no longer the person you were, but you are not fully the person you are becoming. That sacred space is the edge, a place of transition where growth is taking root. Do not rush to label or define yourself. Let God reveal your identity in His timing. Another sign of readiness is that you have stopped chasing people who walk away. You no longer feel the need to explain yourself excessively or justify your choices. You have stopped begging to be understood. This is not bitterness. It is self-respect rooted in spiritual confidence. When God becomes your validator, human approval loses its power over you. You may also notice your prayers changing. You no longer pray primarily for material things or specific outcomes. Instead, your prayers are now for clarity, guidance, alignment, and peace. You have asked God to remove what is not meant for you. That is a dangerous prayer for someone unready, but you prayed it anyway. This shows that you trust God more than you trust comfort, and that trust is exactly what is required for the next phase of your life. Chosen one, you are also learning to release control. You no longer feel the need to know every step of the process. You have stopped forcing timelines and have started trusting in God's seasons. This is not passivity, it is wisdom and faith. Control is fear disguised as wisdom, while trust is wisdom rooted in God. You may find yourself experiencing moments of deep compassion, followed by moments of firm boundaries. Do not confuse kindness for weakness. God is teaching you balance. Jesus himself had compassion, but he also knew when to step away. You are learning when to give and when to withhold, and this is mastery, not confusion. You may have noticed physical sensations that accompany these changes. Heaviness, pressure in the chest, tension in the shoulders, restlessness in your body. These sensations are not always anxiety. Sometimes they are unprocessed transition energy. Your body is adjusting to internal growth. That is why rest is so critical. Do not ignore it. Honor it. You may also notice people from your past resurfacing, bringing old conversations, memories, and emotions back into your awareness. That is not regression, it is closure. God often allows unresolved threads to return before elevation, so they do not follow you forward into new seasons. Another sign you are ready is that title, status, and appearances hold less sway over you. You see beyond surface-level achievements and value character, truth, and peace above performance. This perspective arises from inner growth. Let me be very clear, if you were not ready, you would still be running, numbing, blaming, chasing, and proving yourself, but you are slowing down. You are observing, listening, and letting go. This is evidence that you are standing at the edge. And the final sign I want you to hear, chosen one, is this. Despite everything you have been through, you still believe. You may question yourself, but you have not abandoned God. You may feel tired, but you have not turned bitter. You may feel confused, but you have not lost faith. That alone confirms your readiness is not loud, it is grounded. It is calm, it is honest, it is surrendered. You are not standing at the edge by accident. You are guided here, and what comes next will not require you to become someone else. It will require you to fully be who you already are. Let me add this because I know some of you are quietly questioning yourselves. You may wonder if what you feel is spiritual readiness or merely emotional exhaustion. Let me make this distinction clear. Emotional exhaustion leaves you depleted, frustrated, and empty. Spiritual readiness humbles you, but it also steadies you. Even in your fatigue, there is a calm beneath the surface. Even in your uncertainty, there is a knowing you cannot fully explain. That knowing is real. It is your spirit recognizing the direction you are heading, even before your mind can fully comprehend it. You have reached a point where pretending is too costly. Masks are uncomfortable. When you try to shrink yourself to fit places you have outgrown, you feel physical tension, discomfort, or unease. That discomfort is guidance. God is making misalignment unbearable so that alignment becomes your only viable path. Another quiet sign of readiness is how you now respond to correction. Instead of reacting defensively, you pause and reflect. Instead of arguing to be right, you seek truth. You are no longer interested in proving yourself to others. You are interested in living in alignment with God. That shift separates chosen ones from the crowd. You may notice that your faith has grown quieter yet deeper. You no longer need to announce it publicly. You live it. Your relationship with God feels personal and authentic. You trust Him enough to sit in unanswered questions without losing peace. That kind of faith cannot be taught. It is earned through experience. Finally, chosen one, there is a steady inner pull you feel. It is not excitement, fear, or pressure, but a gentle, persistent movement forward. Something inside whispers keep going. That pull is not ambition, it is calling. Calling does not shout. It whispers until you finally listen. If all of this resonates with you, stop questioning your readiness. You are not imagining this season. You are standing exactly where chosen ones stand, on the threshold of the next level. Rest in that truth, what 5D truly means, a Christian spiritual interpretation, chosen one. Not because the offense was small or insignificant, but because your perspective has grown wider. You begin to understand that holding resentment only poisons your own spirit, not theirs. Jesus taught this principle clearly when he said to forgive, not because people deserve it, but because you deserve freedom. Forgiveness is liberation. Another essential part of 5D awareness is discernment instead of judgment. You stop rushing to label situations or people. You pause. You observe. You listen. You let God reveal the truth in his timing. This is spiritual maturity. This is wisdom chosen one. As your awareness rises, you will notice that your need to explain yourself decreases. You are not hiding, you are resting. People operating from lower awareness constantly demand explanations and reassurance. People operating from higher awareness trust God to speak for them and understand that actions, outcomes, and integrity matter more than constant validation. You will continue to live in this world. You will still work, love, plan, and build. Life does not stop in 5D awareness. But the internal atmosphere shifts. Peace becomes your default state, not something you only experience as a reward. Calmness becomes your strength, not a weakness to be ashamed of. This is the essence of what Scripture means when it says, "Be transformed by the renewing of your mind." That is not just motivational language. That is spiritual technology. A renewed mind perceives life differently. It begins to see God's hand in situations where others only see chaos. In 5D awareness, you stop chasing signs because you recognize God's timing and seasons. You stop begging for clarity because discernment guides your steps. You stop asking a "why me?" and start asking, "How can I steward this?" Let me say something important here. Entering this level of awareness does not instantly make life easier. Life may not feel simpler or free of challenges, but it makes life clearer, and clarity often requires courage. You may have to walk away from situations or people you once tolerated. You may have to say no where you previously said yes. You may need to stand alone for a season, even when it feels uncomfortable. This is not loss, it is alignment. True spiritual growth often requires letting go of what no longer belongs to your season. At this stage, faith becomes experiential. It is no longer just belief or intellectual knowledge. It is lived trust. You no longer only know that God exists, you rely on him, listen to him, obey him, even when circumstances do not make sense. That is where miracles naturally flow, not from desperation or striving, but from alignment with God. Many chosen ones fear this shift because they imagine it will make them lose their softness, empathy, or compassion. The opposite is true. Your compassion deepens, but it gains boundaries. Your love becomes wiser and more discerning. Your giving becomes intentional, not impulsive or draining. Jesus provides the perfect example. He loved deeply, but he did not chase everyone. He healed many, but he did not justify himself to mockers. He taught openly, but he sometimes spoke in parables to protect truth from misuse. This is advanced spiritual wisdom. 5D awareness teaches you that not everyone deserves unrestricted access to your time, energy, or heart. This is not pride, it is stewardship. Your energy, your time, your spirit, all entrusted to you by God, must be used wisely. You are accountable for how you pour them out. As this awareness settles in, your prayer life begins to change. You pray less out of panic or desperation, and more out of partnership with God. You ask, "What are you doing here, and how can I cooperate?" You listen more than you speak. Silence becomes sacred. You begin to trust God's a no as much as his yes. Closed doors are no longer seen as rejection, but as protection. That understanding saves you years of regret and misdirected effort. Entering 5D awareness does not make you special or favored in God's eyes. You are already deeply loved. What it does is make you responsible to walk in truth, responsible to remain humble, responsible to reflect Christ, not ego. And this is why this shift happens after breaking, not before. God often empties what could corrupt power. He heals what could distort authority. He humbles what could seek recognition. This is preparation for elevation, chosen one. When I say that you are entering 5D, understand this. You are stepping into a deeper way of seeing, living, and trusting God. You are not stepping above others. You are anchored in truth. You are not detached from life. You are rooted in peace. This is not an escape from reality. It is embodiment of spiritual maturity. Once you see through this lens, you cannot unsee it. That is the weight, but also the gift of true spiritual elevation. I want to take this even further because I sense some of you are wrestling with questions, not out of doubt, but out of discernment, and that is good. Chosen ones do not blindly accept spiritual language. They test it, weigh it, and bring it before God. One of the clearest marks of 5D awareness is how you relate to uncertainty. In lower awareness, uncertainty produces anxiety. You rush to control situations, fill the gaps, and assume the worst. In higher awareness, uncertainty becomes neutral. You do not panic, you wait, you observe. You trust that God is working even when you cannot see the full picture. This calmness in the unknown is not denial, it is confidence in God's sovereignty. Another aspect of this awareness is your experience of time. You stop living in regret over the past or fear of the future. You become present, not careless but grounded. Jesus often taught about the importance of today. Do not worry about tomorrow, he said. That was not a call to laziness, it was instruction for alignment. Anchored in God, the present moment becomes sufficient. You also stop absorbing collective fear. News, opinions, and emotional chaos no longer hijack your spirit. You stay informed, but you are not infected. You understand that not every loud voice or dramatic circumstance deserves your attention. This does not make you disconnected. It makes you discerning. At this level, you recognize that spiritual warfare is often subtle, not dramatic. Its tools are distraction, discouragement, overthinking, exhaustion, and unrest. Your primary weapon becomes peace. Remaining calm disarms the enemy. That is why Scripture emphasizes peace that surpasses understanding. It silences confusion and stabilizes your spirit. 5D awareness also changes how you use words. You begin to speak intentionally. You stop venting impulsively. You recognize that words carry weight. You speak life not because you are pretending, but because you are aligned with God's truth. Silence becomes as powerful as speech. Another shift happens in how you interpret resistance. Obstacles are no longer reasons to quit. They become confirmation that you are on the right path. Resistance is no longer intimidating. You pray for wisdom, not escape. You also begin to recognize divine patterns. Repetition no longer feels random. Lessons are offered repeatedly until they are fully integrated. Instead of frustration, you feel gratitude for growth. That mindset protects you from bitterness. 5D awareness does not mean you stop struggling. You may still experience doubt, sadness, or fatigue, but struggle no longer defines you. You recover faster and return to your center more quickly. That is evidence of growth. Obedience changes too. It is no longer motivated by fear of punishment, but by alignment with peace. Disobedience produces internal friction. Obedience produces rest. That internal feedback is spiritual maturity. You become comfortable with not being understood. You stop trying to explain your journey to people who are not meant to walk it. This is not secrecy, it is wisdom. Jesus often withdrew. It was not avoidance, but discernment. As this awareness grows, your identity stabilizes. Praise no longer inflates you. Criticism no longer crushes you. You know who you are in God. That stability is unshakable. Entering 5D feels more like relief than excitement. It is not adrenaline, it is a quiet strength replacing internal noise. Finally, understand this level of awareness is not earned through effort. It is received through surrender. You did not force it. You grew into it through faithfulness in discomfort, discipline, and disappointment. So do not fear this shift. Let it unfold naturally. Stay humble, stay anchored in Christ, stay obedient to what God places in your path. This is not the end of your journey. It is the beginning of walking with clearer eyes, steadier steps, and deeper trust. Spiritual and mental healing, letting go before you cross. Chosen one, this is where I want you to slow down even more. This part is not about information, it is about release. You cannot cross into a higher level of awareness while carrying the weight of unhealed wounds. God does not rush healing, He honors it. And right now He is inviting you to lay some things down. You have been strong for a long time. Strong in silence, strong when no one asked how you were truly doing, strong when you encouraged others while your own heart felt heavy. That strength was necessary for a season, but it is not meant to be permanent armor. Even Jesus wept. Even He withdrew to rest. Harsh. Strength that never rests becomes self-punishment. Let me speak directly to the quiet pain you rarely name. The pain of being misunderstood, of being judged for your depth, of giving more than you received. Those wounds did not make you bitter, but they made you tired. And God sees your tiredness. He does not condemn it, he calls it home. Healing begins when you stop asking why you are like this and start honoring how God formed you. You are sensitive, not weak. You are observant, not overthinking. You are compassionate, not foolish. You were designed to feel deeply because deep healing requires deep awareness. One of the hardest things for chosen ones to release is guilt. The guilt of resting, saying no, or not being everything to everyone. Let me be clear, guilt is not conviction. Conviction guides you. Guilt punishes you. God convicts. The enemy accuses. It is important to understand this difference deeply because it determines how you respond to thoughts and feelings in your spirit. Conviction comes from God and it is gentle. It points you toward growth, correction, and alignment. It does not crush your heart or make you feel small. Guilt, on the other hand, is heavy. It is designed to shame and weaken you. Guilt lingers, keeps you trapped, and magnifies mistakes instead of teaching you lessons. If a thought or voice leaves you feeling condemned, diminished, or like you are not enough, know with certainty that it is not from God. God's voice builds, encourages, and directs, even when it calls for change. The enemy accuses. That is his nature. He comes to remind you of every misstep, every regret, every flaw, in order to make you feel unworthy. You have to learn to discern between these two forces carefully because your spiritual and emotional growth depends on it. You are also being asked to release resentment. This does not mean that what happened to you was acceptable, or that you need to pretend the pain did not exist. It simply means that holding on to it binds you to the past and slows down your progress. Carrying resentment keeps your energy tied to events, people, and outcomes that you cannot change. Forgiveness is not the same as agreement. It is not saying the offense was okay. Forgiveness is freedom. It is a liberation for your spirit. Jesus himself did not forgive to excuse harm. He forgave to stay free, to remain unbound, and to walk in clarity of heart. Some of you are still carrying anger toward yourselves. Anger at past decisions, at moments when you acted out of fear, confusion, or lack of knowledge. Perhaps you regret the words you said in the heat of a moment, or the paths you took when you did not yet know better. Listen closely. God does not hold your healed self accountable for the survival choices your wounded self made. Growth is a journey, and grace covers what maturity had not yet reached. Letting go also involves releasing old identities. The identity of the one who always struggles, of the one who is always overlooked, of the one who always has to be strong. Those identities served you in the past. They helped you survive. They gave you resilience when life demanded it, but they will not carry you forward into the next season. You are allowed to evolve. You are allowed to release the labels that once kept you alive but now hold you back. There is grief here, and it is natural. Grief for relationships that ended without closure. Grief for versions of yourself that never got the rest they needed. Grief for dreams that did not manifest the way you hoped. Do not rush past this grief. It is not a sign of lack of faith. Grief is love learning to adjust to reality. God is not asking you to forget your pain or pretend it did not happen. He is asking you to stop living inside it. Healing does not erase memory. It changes the power memory has over your heart. Let me guide you gently here. Take a deep breath. Picture yourself placing your burdens in God's hands. Not all at once, but one by one. Place the disappointment there. Place the betrayal there. Place your self-doubt, your fear of being seen, your worry about judgment. All of it. You do not need to explain it. God already knows. Mental healing also means releasing the habit of overthinking. For too long, your mind has been in survival, always scanning for danger, always preparing, always bracing for what might come. That vigilance once protected you. Now it exhausts you. God is inviting your mind to rest. He is inviting your heart to settle. Peace is not something you earn by performing, achieving, or fixing yourself. It is something you receive when you trust God with what you cannot control. You do not have to fix everything before God can meet you. He meets you where you are and heals you as you move forward. Another layer of healing is learning to receive. Many of you are experts at giving. You pour your heart into others. You share your time, energy, and love, often without hesitation. But receiving has always been difficult. Compliments feel awkward. Help feels undeserved. Rest feels unearned. This is not humility. It is a conditioned response from years of believing you must earn your worthiness. God wants to rewire that pattern. You are not selfish for taking care of yourself. You are not unloving for protecting your boundaries. You are not disobedient for resting. Jesus himself rested. He withdrew to pray. He slept during storms. That is divine permission. It is an example that God wants you to follow. As you prepare to cross into this new level of awareness, you are being asked to release fear of the unknown. Fear asks, what if I fail? Faith asks, what if God carries me? You do not need certainty, You do not need guarantees. You need trust. Healing also involves forgiving your body. Forgive it for being tired, for holding tension, for reacting before thinking. Your body carried you through seasons your mind barely survived. Nourish it. Rest it. Chosen one, letting go is not loss. It is lightening your load. You are not becoming less, you are becoming free. This is the final clearing before the crossing. Do not rush it. Do not resist it. Let what needs to fall away do so gently. You are not leaving anything essential behind, only what cannot follow you forward. When you step into what is next, you will feel lighter, not because life becomes easier, but because your soul is no longer fighting itself. That is healing, and it is holy. Let me add one more layer here, chosen one, because some of the deepest healing you need is the kind no one talks about. It is the healing from always having to be the strong one, the one who holds everything together, the one others lean on, the one who figures it out. That role shaped you. It made you capable, disciplined, and reliable, but it also silently exhausted. You learned early that vulnerability felt unsafe, so you became capable instead. You became responsible instead. You became spiritually disciplined instead. Those qualities are not wrong. They are gifts, but carrying them without rest gradually harden parts of your heart. God now wants to soften them again. Healing at this stage looks like allowing yourself to need God without guilt, not as a concept, but as a safe refuge. It looks like admitting you do not have all the answers and letting that be okay. It looks like praying without eloquence, without structure, without performance, just honesty. You trusted, waited, obeyed, and yet it still hurt. God is not offended by your honesty. He wants you to bring your disappointment to Him, not carry it alone. Let go of the belief that healing must look dramatic. Healing is often quiet. It is choosing peace over explanation. Sometimes it is simply stopping the internal argument you have been replaying for years. You do not need to reopen every wound to prove you have healed. You need to close them with grace. As you release these final weights, notice how your breath deepens. Notice how your shoulders relax. Notice how your mind softens. That is your nervous system responding to safety. Safety is required for spiritual elevation. You are not crossing into what is next as a wounded warrior. You are crossing as a healed servant, grounded, present, and free. That is how God prepares His chosen ones. The next 24 hours are critical. How you align yourself now matters. Chosen one, what you do in the next 24 hours is not about striving, it is about positioning. Alignment is not effort, it is posture. And right now, God is not asking you to do more. He is asking you to listen better. You do not need to force anything to happen tomorrow. Forced movement creates resistance. Surrendered movement creates flow. So let go of the urge to over-prepare, overthink, or overanalyze. Peace is your signal that you are aligned. Begin by protecting your inner atmosphere. Be mindful of what you consume. Conversations, media, and noise shape your awareness. You do not need to isolate completely, but you do need to be selective. If something stirs anxiety, step back. If something drains your spirit, pause it. This is not avoidance, it is wisdom. Create space for stillness. Not performance, not long rituals, just presence. Sit quietly. Breathe slowly. Invite God into that quiet. You do not need to speak much. Sometimes the most powerful prayer is simply attention. Let your spirit settle. In these hours, your discernment will be heightened. Pay attention to subtle nudges, a thought that brings calm, a direction that feels gentle but firm, a sense of release around something you have been holding on to. Do not dismiss these. God often guides through peace, not pressure. Another important alignment is rest. Real rest, not distraction disguised as rest. Sleep if your body asks for it. Step outside if you feel drawn to nature. Drink water. Nourish your body. Spiritual shifts are integrated through the nervous system. A regulated body receives clarity more easily. Be cautious of emotional conversations right now. This is not the time to confront, explain, or resolve everything. Let tomorrow arrive without unnecessary emotional weight. Silence can be alignment. Waiting can be obedience. You may feel an urge to clean, organize, or simplify your space. That is not random. Physical order supports mental clarity. Let go of clutter intentionally, not obsessively. You are signaling readiness for something new. Prayer in this season is not about asking God to move. It is about agreeing with what He is already doing. A simple prayer is enough. God, I trust you. God, lead me. God, I am open. That posture matters more than perfect words. Guard against fear-based anticipation. Tomorrow does not require perfection. You do not need to wake up feeling different to become different. Alignment is subtle. Do not chase sensations. Trust the process. Stay grounded in gratitude. Gratitude anchors awareness. Name what you are thankful for, even quietly. Gratitude shifts your nervous system from survival to trust. Avoid impulsive decisions in these 24 hours unless there is unmistakable peace. Clarity will come. You do not need to rush it. Another alignment practice is forgiveness in advance. Release expectations of how tomorrow should look. Release pressure on yourself to feel or perform a certain way. Let God surprise you. Listen carefully. Alignment is not about becoming spiritual. You already are. It is about removing resistance. Resistance shows up as control, fear, or urgency. When you notice those feelings, breathe. Return to trust. You may feel heightened emotions. Let them pass without overanalyzing. You do not need to label everything. Awareness without attachment is maturity. Keep your heart soft. Do not armor up. Softness is strength at this level. If you are led to write, reflect, or journal, do it without judgment. If you are led to be quiet, honor that too. The most important alignment is obedience to peace. Peace is not laziness. It is confirmation. Let tomorrow come naturally. Wake up without expectation. Enter the day gently. Observe how you respond to life. That response is where the shift reveals itself. God is not testing you in these hours. He is settling you. Trust that. Remain open. Stay humble. Stay present. You are not being asked to perform. You are being asked to receive. Receiving requires one thing more than anything else: stillness. Let your mind and heart quiet. Let the busyness and the clamor settle. Let your thoughts slow down. Let your expectations soften. Let your spirit rest in the moment. This is how God moves. This is how He meets you. Chosen one, I want to speak to you about something important because some of you may still feel a quiet, persistent urgency in your chest, a tension that whispers that you need to do more, move faster, or control the outcome. I want to ease that for you completely. That feeling is not a warning. It is not danger. It is not pressure from God. It is anticipation mixed with habit. Your body and your mind have grown accustomed to bracing, to preparing for change as if it were always something to fear. But this time, God is not asking you to brace. He is asking you to soften. Over the next 24 hours, be especially gentle with your thoughts. Notice when your mind begins to race ahead, trying to imagine every possible outcome, trying to predict what will happen, trying to protect you from imagined mistakes. That habit once kept you safe, yes, but now it interferes with what God is doing. When you catch yourself in that racing thought, do not fight it. Do not shame yourself. Simply notice it and return to the present moment. God does not meet you in imagined futures. He meets you in the now. The now is where your spirit is most receptive. You may also feel a gentle prompting to step back briefly from people who tend to pull you into old emotional patterns. This does not mean cutting anyone out of your life. It does not mean rejecting or abandoning relationships. It simply means creating temporary space for yourself. Sometimes alignment requires distance, not because others are wrong, but because you need clarity, focus, and room to hear God. Pay close attention to your body. Tension carries information. It is not random. If your jaw tightens, release it. If your shoulders rise, let them drop. These small, conscious acts tell your nervous system that you are safe, that the environment around you is trustworthy, and that you can let your guard down. Safety is essential for spiritual integration. If you feel led to worship quietly, allow yourself that freedom. If you feel led to walk in silence, honor that. There is no single correct way to align. There is only responsiveness, being aware of what your spirit needs and honoring it. During this time, avoid seeking validation from others. Do not look for signs from people. The confirmation you need comes from within. God often confirms things internally before he makes them obvious externally. If fear arises, acknowledge it, but do not agree with it. Fear tends to speak loudly just before it loses influence. You do not need to argue with fear or justify yourself to it. Simply allow peace to outlast it. Another crucial part of alignment is honesty with God. Speak what you are actually feeling, not what you think you should feel. God does not respond to performance or pretense. He responds to honesty, transparency, and vulnerability. Also, release the idea that alignment must look dramatic or obvious. Often, alignment is quiet. It happens while you eat, while you rest, while you pray, while you move through life gently. You may wake up tomorrow and feel that nothing has changed. That is normal. Most shifts are recognized in hindsight. You notice them in how you respond to life, in the calmness of your mind, in the steadiness of your heart, not necessarily in immediate feelings. Trust that God knows exactly how to lead you across this threshold. You are not doing this alone. You are being guided. Stay present, stay open, stay grounded. The work now is not effortful. It is about trust, and trust itself is alignment. Spiritual protection is a key part of staying grounded after elevation. Chosen one, elevation without grounding can be dangerous. God does not elevate his people to confuse them, to inflate them, or to leave them exposed. He elevates to entrust. When he raises you up, he is placing responsibility and blessing into your hands. That is why protection is not optional after a shift. It is necessary. The first form of spiritual protection is humility. Not false humility or self-degradation, but accurate self-awareness. You are chosen, yes, but you are not self-appointed. Everything you carry, every gift, every insight, every ability flows from God, not from personal superiority. The moment elevation begins to feed ego, protection weakens. Stay teachable, stay prayerful, stay dependent on God. Another layer of protection is discernment. After elevation, your sensitivity increases. You notice more, you feel more, you understand more. That is a gift, but it requires wisdom. Not every thought needs to be spoken. Not every insight needs to be acted upon. Discernment teaches you when to speak and when to remain silent. You may notice that people respond differently to you after a shift. Some may feel drawn to you, while others may feel threatened. Signed. Do not take either personally. Attraction and resistance are natural responses to clarity. Your role is not to manage how others feel. Your role is to remain aligned with God. Spiritual protection also means guarding your inner world. Do not invite chaos back in just because it feels familiar. Old habits may try to reappear. Old patterns may tempt you. This does not mean you have failed. It means your growth is real. When something no longer fits, it will try to pull you back. Gently refuse. Stay firm, but remain gentle with yourself. Another important layer of protection is staying grounded in your physical life. Eat well, rest, move your body. Remain connected to ordinary life. Spiritual elevation does not mean detachment from humanity. It deepens your presence within it. Jesus ate, walked, rested, and lived fully among people. Follow his model. Prayer after elevation changes in tone. It becomes more about alignment than about receiving answers. You ask God how to steward what he has given you. You listen more. You respond more slowly. This posture protects you from impulsive decisions and helps you move wisely. Be cautious of isolation. Solitude can be healthy for reflection, but complete withdrawal from community is not. Seek wise, grounded believers. You do not need many. You need alignment and accountability. This protects clarity and ensures that you are not swayed by unchecked thoughts. Boundaries are also crucial. Your compassion may grow after elevation, but your access must remain selective. You are not meant to carry everyone's pain. You are meant to serve from your overflow, not from depletion. Jesus healed many, but he did not stay everywhere. He prioritized and protected his energy. Guard against spiritual comparison. Elevation looks different for each person. Do not measure your journey against someone else's. Comparison weakens gratitude, invites insecurity, and distracts from your purpose. Stay in your lane. God knows what he entrusted to you. You may also face spiritual testing after elevation. These tests are not designed to make you fall, but to strengthen what has been built within you. When challenges arise, do not panic. Return to truth. Return to peace. Return to prayer. Protection also comes from staying rooted in Scripture. Experiences can be powerful, but they must be anchored in truth. Feelings fluctuate. Truth remains constant. Scripture keeps your awareness balanced, centered, and grounded. If confusion arises, slow down. Confusion is often a signal that you need rest, not immediate answers. Rest restores clarity and allows insight to come naturally. Chosen one, spiritual protection is not about fear of attack. It is about stability, rooted in truth. When you are grounded, nothing external can easily shake you. Remain humble, remain obedient, remain grounded. God covers what He elevates. As long as you stay anchored in Him, what He gives you will never harm you. This is how chosen ones walk forward safely, steadily, and securely. Conclusion: sealing the shift. Chosen one, take a deep breath with me right now. Let everything you have heard settle gently into your spirit. You were not brought here by accident. This message did not find you randomly. God aligned this moment because you are ready to receive it. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not missing anything. Everything you walked through prepared you for this shift. Tomorrow is not about becoming someone new. It is about fully stepping into who God has been shaping all along. Do not chase signs. Do not force feelings. Walk forward in trust. Let peace guide you. Let humility ground you. Let faith steady you. The elevation you are entering is not loud. It is stable. It is calm. It is rooted. Remember this: God does not elevate you to impress others. He elevates you to serve with wisdom, love, and discernment. Stay close to Him. Stay anchored in truth. Stay gentle with yourself. If doubt whispers, return to prayer. If confusion rises, return to stillness. If fear tries to speak, let peace answer it. You are protected. You are guided. You are supported. Chosen one, you are not crossing this threshold alone. God goes before you. He walks with you. He covers you from behind. Before you go, if this message resonated with your spirit, give a like to this video. Subscribe to the Spirit Guide channel if you haven't already. Turn on the bell icon so you don't miss what God releases next. Share this message with other chosen ones who need confirmation, and comment 55555 to seal your alignment and declare that you are ready for this divine shift. Rest tonight, trust tomorrow. Walk forward in peace. The shift is sealed.